Hello YouTube chess lovers and my friends, this is Gunjan here. Welcome to my 5th episode of Killer Mini Chess Traps. In today's episode, we are going to look at 3 different surprising opening traps, and the content are as follows. Well, the first one is very interesting one, as after the King's Gambit, e4, e5 and the move f4, we have this very surprising Panteldakis-Gambit starting with f5. And I'm sure a lot of your opponent get a rude shock because this move is hardly been covered in any theoretical manual. Well, the first blunder white can play over here is f captures e5, and you will be surprised that as per the Lichess database, there are more than 3500 games goes with this silly move where black instantly finished the game with queen check, g3, and after queen captures e4, you can see that clearly black gobble up the rook just within the opening stage. So f captures e5 is a big time blunder here. The main move is e captures f5, and after this we sets up another cunning trap, and that is queen to e7. So our idea is very simple. We want to take on f4 and provide a discover check, and believe me, there are only 2 good moves here for the white. One is knight to f3 and the second is queen to h5 check. As happened in many cases, there are more than 300 Lichess games continue with f captures e5, which looks very logical. White gobble up yet another pawn, and if you take on e5, then he can block it with his own queen. Well, I'm afraid black has tricked the white once again, as we are going to give the check by not taking on e5, but our favorite square, h4, so that if g3, then we nab the rook in the corner. And funny enough, white's most frequent choice here is king to e2, which I think leads to a quick mate. I just like to show you my recent victory in this line, where I continue with some obvious moves: queen to e4 check, king to f2, bishop to c5 check. My opponent tried to develop his dark squared bishop by sacrificing a pawn, d4, bishop captures d4, king to g3. Now I take on e4, forcing king back to f2 and again giving this check. And finally, when king goes to g3, the nasty move, knight to e7, and surprisingly, there is actually very few defenses exist. Well, the game finished very quickly. He played queen to h5 check, I played g6, and after f captures g6, can you see a forcing checkmate? Please pause the video and find out if you need more time. I am showing you right now. Queen check, king to f3, black castles, king to g4, d5, king to g5, rook to f5, king to h6, and now the lovely bishop to g7 finish the white king dance. Now, before we leave, I like to quickly point out that queen to h5 check doesn't refute this variation, because even though black king has been misplaced, after the following popular choices such as f captures e5, queen captures e5, bishop to e2, we gain time by attacking this queen, and considering the most frequently played move, queen to f3, black has this nice sequence which even gets slight advantage with knight to c6, c3 and now d5, whereupon white's best move is d4, and after that, yup, you guessed it, queen captures f5, queen captures f5 and bishop f5. At the end of transaction, not only black get his material back, but if you carefully look at this, black has a superior piece development which gives him a slight advantage. The second trap is one of my favorite one, as currently I'm playing this line regularly in my blitz games, which occurs in the Fajarowicz Gambit, which arises after the following move order: d4, knight to f6, c4, and now you play e5. Okay, white took it, and now knight to g4 leads to the Budapest Gambit, but black has another surprising move, knight to e4, known as Fajarowicz Gambit. Well, the most of the ideas are related to quick, fast development, and one of it is bishop to b4 check. So many white players try to block this check first with a3, and after our true gambit play with d6, one of the most frequent choice by the white camp is to capture this pawn first, and after bishop takes d6, continue with knight to f3, which is in fact, as per the Leach's database, played in more than 1200 games. Would you believe after this, white is completely losing? So before we move on, I'd like you to pause this video and find out a killer move which wins the game for the black on the spot. Are you ready? Did you find this deciding move? Boom! What a move! Well, clearly black is attacking two major guys, so white response is forced. He has to take on f2. But after this, I'm sure you see that white is losing the queen with this wonderful bishop check, which closed the door for the white king and forces him to capture yet another piece. But at the end, when you get his queen, if you count the material, black get whole queen for two minor pieces, which is of course close to winning. So this is one of the high profile queen trap exists in the Fajarowicz Gambit, which even many strong players has fallen into. The third trap occurs against the specific Jobava London system structure, where white commits the early knight to f3. Let me show you what I mean. d4, knight to f6. Here white can choose either knight c3 or bishop f4. Let's say in this game, bishop to f4 happened first, and after our e6, white plays knight to c3. Well, against this, one of my favorite line is the Queen's Indian structure, starting with b6. And in order to achieve our trap, white has to play this move in a row. So for example, after knight to f3, black plays bishop to b4, pinning down this knight. And e3 is one of the most frequent choice. Well, guess what? Yup, we have achieved our trappy platform. And again, if you check the Lee Chess database, there are more than 150 games goes into this direction, which I'm afraid a losing mistake by the white camp, as black has the winning shot here, starting with knight to e4. So as you can see, there is a double attack on c3, and the only way to defend this knight is by playing queen to d3, which defends as well as attack on e4. But after black's next reply, f5, no matter how wayward white plays, he is completely busted. As I have shown here, a3 and bishop to e2 are the most frequent choice, but against each of them, our reply is very consistent. First, bishop to e2, big time mistake, and I know you already see what black is up to. Yup, bishop to a6, double attack, queen has to go to d1. After this, the task is very easy. First you capture this bishop, and when white recapture, you take on c3. White dare not to touch this knight, because if we take it, then after bishop c3, we get the rook on the a1 square, and just within the 11th move of the game, we are hold rook up. So that will happen if your opponent continue with bishop to e2. The second choice is a3, which is neither good as well, because once again we deliver bishop to a6, forcing queen to go back to d1. And I think black has to be careful in this position, because if you continue with knight captures c3, then queen to d2 is a very strong reply. So that's why the correct response here is, first you take this knight with the bishop, and after pawn takes, now you take on c3, attacking the queen. And when the queen goes anywhere, let's say queen to c1, we take on f1, completely ruin the castle of white. And after we castle, if you carefully look at this position, not only black is a clear pawn up, but white king is completely caught at the center. That's it guys, I hope you enjoy and learn this 3 high profile opening mini traps. You can literally use them regularly in your online blitz sessions, or it can be utilized as a complete surprise weapon in the tournament practice. Well, thank you for watching this video. Feel free to like, subscribe and comment, and I will meet you in my next episode very soon. Bye and take care.